Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Ahmaduhu wa salli ala Rasulil Kareem. Amma ba'd. Very important point you mentioned here. It comes in the Quranic verse. لَن تَنَالُوا الْبِرَّ حَتَّى تُنْفِقُوا مِمَّا تُحِبُّونَ. You can never acquire righteousness and taqwa until you spend from that which you love. So the base of this verse is, what do you love? Meaning you give zakat. So you can never reach the piety required unless you give your zakat, which is a farz. And then if you give more sadaqah, you give more things, then it's better. So one lady, she wrote to Hakim rahmatullah, and she said that my husband has given me a few gifts, and I love these gifts a lot. Yes? Now, I don't want to give them up. And I tried, but I only gave away two gifts that he gave me. The rest of them I kept. So is this love for the dunya? I'm trying to give it away, but my heart's in this. You funny? So Hakim said, the reason you love these things is not because you love the dunya, because you love your husband. If your husband hasn't given it to you, what would happen? You would have given it away. You would have if it's sadaqah, you would have given it away. So he says here, and the love for the husband is actually is because of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So your love for these items is not love for the dunya. Yes? Fahim? Yes? Yes. And number two is, even if you have something, and let's say it's for a zakat, and when you have to give it up, you find it difficult to give it up. You have to give a lot of money. Somebody's really rich, and he's like a billionaire or millionaire. He's like 100,000 pounds zakat, for example. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money, 100,000 pounds. Let's say he's a billionaire, so I don't know how much, I don't know the math, but it'll be a lot of zakat. Now to give, if you feel it hard to give, that's natural. Once you give it, that's fine. Once you give it, that means that you have more love for Allah, you have love. And a natural feeling is, I think, important. So for example, you have tabarrukat, your father gave you something, your grandfather gave you something, a memorabilia, what's it called? Memorabilia. Well, you know what the word is. And then you also have, we call it heirloom, a family thing that live in the family. Let's say, for example, you got a great grandfather's mushaf. So it has not really much value, it's old. But you love this because it's in our family. My great grandfather read Quran from this, and then somebody khatam. My grandfather used it, and then my father used it. So your love for this is not because you love the dunya. Your love for this is because you love for your parents, your grandparents, your great grandparents. You have a jubba, you have a thawb, you have an imamah, you have a book, you have all of these things. So this is not love for the dunya. This is actually love for deen. You understand? So sometimes it's a very clarification. So the main thing you have to do is what? Give your zakat. Once you give zakat, then you say you don't have the love for the dunya. Yes, and even if you give a zakat, time I give a zakat, what happens? By the time I give a zakat, even if it's difficult, once you give it, you're giving it. And then the more things you give, and so once you give that, that means you have more love for Allah than for the dunya. And if you give more things, that's fine. And if you love something because of its memory, is significant to you, that's not love for dunya. If you want to give it up, that's fine. But sometimes if you keep it, it's probably better for you because you have more value for it than somebody else. Let's say, for example, you got tasbih that's like 3 generations, 4 generations, or you got ihram that people have been using for. Like your great grandfather and Hajj in this Umrah ihram, and then you got it, and then you got it. Then it's like, if you get somebody else, they're going to not have value for it. It's probably better you keeping it and give that much equivalent money in sadaqah. Are you funding? So many things that you got a watch. So take a really old watch, or a buzurg who's using this watch, and he pass it down. So well, if I keep this, it's worth £20, £30, £40, £50, £60, £100, and they give £100 in lillah, if I want to sacrifice, and I keep this because it's better for me. So he's saying here that the love for certain things, it's not the love of dunya, it's love for the person who has it. And that the person you love is for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So there's no harm in this. Okay, subhanallah wa bihamdi, subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika, wa nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, wa nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk.